Hi, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome to the Ask Me Anything show by JVology. I'm your host, Krista Inikovsky, and it is my pleasure to be welcoming Larissa Banting to today's show. If you think that your name should be in headlines, then this is the lady to talk to, as we're going to be talking all about publicity today. Getting your name out there, not just on your Facebook page, but out there in the media, in the news, in publications where it really matters. So just a quick intro. This is the Ask Me Anything show. JVology puts this on proudly each week to help us showcase our amazing community members who are out there doing big things in the world and getting to showcase their expertise. And Larissa is a perfect example of that, as she is one of our experts in publicity. And goodness, for everyone, if you are a coach, author, speaker, have a great product, small business owner, what better way to gain exposure, accountability, authority than to be published? So welcome, Larissa.
Thanks for having me, Krista. Yes, I am out here to spread the news that everybody is ready for publicity. And if you have a business, you're an expert, right? Like, people are paying you for your expertise. Well, that means that you're ready for publicity as well. You're ready to amplify your message through newspapers, magazines, blogs, podcasts, radio, and eventually even television.
Ah, that's the big one. The ultimate goal for some people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's incredibly valuable to get yourself out there and seen at a national or even international level. And so you've been helping clients do this for quite some time. And this is, you are an accredited by the Canadian Public Relations Society. So that's a big deal. You didn't just happen across how to, get some people's name in the newspaper and called yourself a publicity expert. You really have that background and experience. Tell me a little bit about, how this came about in your career.
Okay. Well, I've always been into writing and like networking with people. And I started in PR. Actually, my friend opened her own PR agency, and I was her first employee. Okay. And that just kind of snowballed. I ended up being a journalist. I had my own column. I was a dancer, so I had my own dance column in 2 arts magazines every week. And then I just started snowballing. Before I knew it, I was a publicist for a ballet company. Then I got hired by the city. I was actually heading up the crisis communications department for Y2K, which, wow, yeah, that was pretty crazy. So I had gone and applied to get my accreditation, and this is it's a pretty, like you were saying, it's not something that you just kind of little. Mark, it's had ever achieved it. So it's quite thorough. Would not be a big enough word for it. Like, you have to apply for it. I had to put together like an entire case study that was very thorough, and then we had to study all these, like, it was everything from crisis communications to how to work with the C-level offices, because public relations isn't just about, get me into a newspaper. It's actually about looking at communications as a whole. How does it fit into the overall business plan? I mean, a good, a smart company will have their communications person sitting in on those decisions that are being made in the C office, because they can say, okay, well, if you implement this, then we're going to have blowback from this, or we have to then think about how we're going to mitigate this. So it's a very integral part to successfully scaling your business. And that's why I'm such I'm up there on my little soapbox, says telling everybody you need to get publicity as part of your marketing strategy, because you're going to be able to reach a really wide audience. You have to be, thinking on your what your story is, putting together those angles. And sometimes, not so great things can happen sometimes. So if you're really in tune with your audience and how to work with the media and how to craft those story angles, then you're going to be able to overcome any kind of, minor crises and come out looking even stronger. It's the people who get like freaked out by it,
right,
and just want to like, oh, everything's fine. That makes it worse.
right.
The smartest thing you can do is just be upfront, and if you've made a mistake, apologize and make amends and move on.
I'm glad you mentioned that publicity is a part of a marketing strategy. It's a piece. And I know some people have heard stories where they get some big break and they get massive publicity, even though there's somebody big who was on the Oprah show. And however, the business wasn't ready. And so we can take that down. I mean, that's a huge example. But let's say you do, somebody comes in and works with you, but they haven't actually put together the pieces that will leverage, or potentially the reason we want publicity is to monetize it, to grow our business, not just to say, oh, my name was out there and isn't that great? That makes me feel good about myself. It is about saying, this is what I have to offer, and then a way for people to track, whether it's sending them to a landing page or having enough product or having some sort of strategy that's going to be able to capture once people have the attention of you and are recognized, oh, she's cool, let me learn more, that you actually have a strategy in place for all of those pieces.
Right. So yeah, I mean, obviously getting onto a large platform, like I have people who are like, oh, I want to get onto Ellen. That has potential, yes, to blow up your business. They also, like someone like Ellen, you actually have to pay to play. Like they want at least $20,000 in services or kind in order to appear on the show. But so people who aren't ready for it yet, yeah, like you could go onto the show like that, or in the case of like being in one of Oprah's favorite things, and all of a sudden the doors fly off the barn. They get blown off, and you're not ready. It's like being like someone going and being thrown into the Olympics and they haven't trained.
And
so
then it happens in a moment, right? That publicity, if it's big, you have people's attention, and then it's gone because the news keeps happening. Publications keep coming out with new editions. So as much as we'd want to like, oh well, I'll get to you in a month when all my stuff is together, you probably missed it.
Right.
However, you can continue to reuse those the logos of where you've been published, and that helps build credibility. So tell us a little bit about that. How do we use it ongoingly to help support our credibility? Okay,
yeah, because the studies show that when people see that you've been featured in the media, that has 7 times more credibility than an ad. Wow. Because you can say anything in an ad that is driven by you, but if you are in the media, that's a neutral third party that is saying that you're an expert, that you're someone that needs to pay attention to, right? And you're not the one driving the narrative; they are. Whereas with an ad or social media, you're the one saying whatever.
Business, yeah.
Yeah. And but so that's part of it, is the credibility. That's why getting those logos is so important, because when, like, especially if you're trying to attract business and they don't know you, they have to make that 3-second decision. Is this someone I want to continue to look into, or do I want to move on? Okay. So if you have those logos, it's showing to them you have the credibility, you have the expertise, you are someone that can be trusted because you have been featured in the media. Like the media is not
being vetted. They're like, if it's somebody big, oh well, they've already checked her out. She's already real. They like what you're doing enough that they've published you, and so someone else can kind of go, oh well, they did the homework. She must be good. I can use her too.
Exactly. It's like that stamp of approval that you're good to go, which is why it's so important. And that shortens that whole trust cycle. They say it takes anywhere from 8 to 10 touch points. You can shorten that right down if you've been featured in the media, because they're going to already trust you. And the other thing is that you can say so much more, so they can get to know you and like you much more so than if through a short soundbite or a short paragraph on a social media post or in an ad.
Okay, great. So we have a couple questions come in. Let's take Sharice's question first. She has a ton of podcasts, but none of them have logos. She's been on a ton. Is there a way to leverage the publicity or, being kind of showing that you've been on a lot of podcasts?
Yes, I think everyone should have a press page on their website. Okay, this is really important. So on your website, have it. So it's like on the menu, and on that you would have your, it's going to do double duty. A is going to help the media. So when they come to interview you, you'll have your headshots there, your logo, your bio, that they can just, the smart thing is to have a link where they can just download it, like maybe through a Google Drive, because you want to take away any friction, right? The more that the media has to work to promote you to their audience, then the less likely they are, because they're busy. They're always on a deadline. So if you have everything on your press page and they can just download all your materials literally with a click, they're going to say, okay, this person knows what they're doing. They're super professional. So that's the one thing that your press page will do. The second thing,
is there kind of a template or a certain look for a press page that is accepted? Is that something you help clients with?
I do help that with, yes, I do help clients with that. And in fact, I actually have that in my, I have the whole template and checklist and everything. That is part of my Pitch Perfect program, which is $27, and it's also in the course that I have a full 6-module course called Masters of the Media. What's that?
$27?
Yeah, for Pitch Perfect.
That's a no-brainer. All right, Charisse. Yeah, we're getting Larissa to do our pages. So just stay on Charisse's question, and then I'll jump over to what Michelle was asking.
So the second thing you want to have on are all of these media mentions, right? So the cover art. So a great thing would be is you have about you, your headshot, your logos, all of that downloadable, and then have where you've been. So any logos, put those of all the media places you've been. Put links to those stories. Okay. And for the podcast, have links, to those podcast stories, so that, because then that people coming to your press page are going to see, oh, wow, they've been around, and they
might just want to take a peek and listen in for a few minutes, or see what you wrote, and so just to have the links there makes it easy for them to get a quick look at what you've been up to.
Exactly.
I love that.
So so it's great because it's for your clients and for the media.
Awesome. So now Michelle's got 2 questions here. How do we know what's the right amount, like the name show, for whatever level of business someone is? And then she's saying, are some of them overused? Are people kind of just paying to get them, or what are your thoughts on the big ones?
Okay. Because this is a service that I do offer. I call it my instant authority method. This is like the quick win. So this is where we write a media release, we distribute it to over the 300 media outlets that will then publish it on their websites. Now, not everyone does this. There are select media that do, and the network affiliates are one of them. So it's as legit. We don't pay these outlets to showcase.
Okay.
All right. Like they actually have these on their websites. They have a section just for press releases, because the press release has to be newsworthy. So they will they will actually publish them. But we don't it's not like, say, a Forbes Founders Council, where you pay $2,500 for the year and then you can publish on Forbes. Okay, that's a very different approach. And actually, Entrepreneur is now doing that as well. Because what's happening is, the advertising dollars are shrinking. So all these publications are trying to find new ways to get, raise some money.
I find that in local publications where you really I can't even tell what's an actual story. And it feels like the only people who are in it are paying to be there.
Some of these smaller, that's what we call advertorial. Okay, because it's an ad being just disguised as
Yeah.
editorial. So it's called advertorial, but you can usually see right through it, that because it sounds salesy. When, for example, when we write a press release, it's, we have to follow a style from AP, which is Associated Press. So that is like the gold standard for journalists, and we have a very specific way that we have to write it. Journalism is not about marketing. Okay, so this is where people get confused. Publicity is not marketing. It is part of your marketing campaign, but it's not marketing because you're not. It's not a sales page. You're not pushing buy my thing. You're there to provide information. You're there to give news. Think about if you're a writer for let's say like the New York Times. You're not going to be going on and like, oh, well, this person's course is like fabulous because it's got 6 modules and blah blah blah. That's not a story. That is like that's something that their audience is not going to sit for. You have to find what is newsworthy about that. It could be like, okay, well, this like you've been able to what's the word I'm going to say? You've unlocked a new way to work with children by capturing, I don't know, like working with their brain way, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So that would be the story. The course is just like, like a footnote, like, they've taken all of these their amazing research and findings and have packaged it in this course for people who want to do this on their own.
By the way, and one little line.
Exactly. As opposed to with a sales page where it's like you're all about trying to sell something. So because journalism, it's not marketing, it is news. That's the whole reason behind it is that you're trying to get that interesting angle.
So if you're writing something, wanting to get published, you need to be really careful and be guided by you and your team that we're not writing sales copy like we're used to writing and then submitting that hoping to get published. It has to be a completely different style of writing is what I'm hearing from you. Is that right?
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Here's the good thing is that you don't have to write. Okay. That's not your job. That's the media's job. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So you're not the one writing the story. That is what they do. You are pitching a story idea. And when we say pitching a story idea, it is your pitch should be no more than 3 paragraphs long. Because you're basically giving the media like a little taste test for them to see if they like it enough to want more, that they can then give it to their audience, right? So usually you want to be like referencing a story that they've recently done, what you got out of it, segue into your story idea, why and why it would relate to that audience. So if it was like, oh, hey, Krista, I really enjoyed, your podcast with the interview. You did an interview the other day with Charisse about how to, use community members to broaden your trying to think of something here, broaden your appeal, and create a stronger sense of relationship, even though we're part in COVID. I think, I have this great story idea that would be expanding on this, continuing on this theme about how, through our new app, blah, 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 it can help people come together, even though they're far apart with times of COVID. Here's a couple of story ideas, and you have like maybe 3 points of what could be addressed in that story. You have a little boilerplate about who you are and what makes you an expert. And then just, would this be of interest to your audience? That's it. You are presenting, because the journalists aren't the experts. They're writers, right? You are the expert. Mm-hmm. You're going to them saying, hey, I know you're looking for a story idea. I, as the expert, have this story idea, and here's what I can address in it. I'm here to help you and make this, help your audience.
Good. Let me just make a quick announcement to our viewers. If you may be watching this video that's been shared onto another page, but if you'll go right above my image here and click where it says J Facette, click on that and open up the original broadcast page where Larissa and I are live. And then when you write your comments, I can bring your comments on like this and we can see them and answer your questions. So that's a great way for you to get your questions answered. Because if you're commenting on one of our shared pages, we won't see it. So just click Jay's name, open up this original, and then you can comment from there, which would be great.
And actually, I'm just going to refer back to Michelle's question about, okay, the CBS, NBC. So no, that's, like I said, that is not, those aren't paid interviews, but they are legitimate, that they are seen on those websites because they've had a professional press release published on the website. Featured on that's when you're being interviewed, or you've either being interviewed on the radio or on the TV or podcast, or you've been interviewed and published in a story. Okay, so that's a difference between as seen on and as featured on.
Oh, okay, good. Little tweaks there.
Little tweak. I mean, but it's like, I like to think of this like the service we do with the press release. It's like that gets people over that imposter syndrome that I'm not ready for the media. And because all of a sudden it's like, okay, no, what we've written the media release. You see how you didn't have to start writing anything. That's not your job. That's our job. You got out there. The world didn't end. Like no one came up and was like, hey, what do you think you're doing in the media? It kind of gets them out of that whole headspace about they're not ready for it. It gives them that credibility. But the other thing is that you have over like 300 or 400 of these media outlets all giving you backlinks to your website, right? Wow. Because all of those they're published on those websites. So that's all driving traffic. And we give them like a 6-page report with all those links, including the Google indexed pages. So if someone were to go in and like put your name to Google, those pages are going to come up, which is going to also give you more credibility.
Oh, fantastic. All right. So I know that you work with clients on a lot of different ways, but you've got something really special coming up that is actually free for everyone. It's a 5-day challenge to help them. I look at it as, like you just said, helping you get kind of over that fear or discomfort of like, either how do I get into the media, or is what I have to say really worthy, or whatever those things are going on in your head. So you help people doing an action each day for 5 days, and that's coming up soon. Tell me more about that. Okay,
well, we actually started this morning, but it's but you know what?
Late. Join in now.
It's not too late to join in. It's called 5 Days to PR Superhero, and so the whole idea behind this challenge is that every day I send you a short video explaining one task for the day. So today, for example, was writing your boilerplate. And this is important because your boilerplate is like 3 sentences and that become one little paragraph that are telling everybody who you are, what you do, who you serve, what makes you an expert, and how to get in touch with you. So it's like everything literally boiled down to its essence. And this is something we use in our press releases. We use this when we're pitching. We're using any time where we need to just get that, like, here's about me really quickly. So that was today. And then we go live every day at noon to answer questions, go through it. And then I also, we do a wheel of names and $25 Amazon gift certificate. So the idea is that by the end of these 5 days, you're going to have, so today was writing your boilerplate. Tomorrow you're going to do, I'm going to double check because I can't remember off the top. Tomorrow we're going to go on your story. What is that one story idea that you're going to pitch? Okay. Then we're going to go on Wednesday. We're going to research the media, the 3 media outlets we are going to pitch to. Day 4, Thursday, we're going to actually write the headline because that's really important. You need to have a really great headline to hook them in. Right. And then day 5, we're actually going to write that short pitch email and hit send.
Oh, wow. So you're actually doing it, not just learning how, but doing it.
Doing it. No, this is this is an implementation challenge. This is not theory. This is like every day, like, you drop your homework in, I give you feedback. So this is like, just do it. Get over that fear and just, do it anyways. And the one thing that I'm teaching people is to start with that low-hanging fruit. Like I think Michelle was asking about, like, how do you know who to pitch to where you are in your business? Think about publicity like baseball. If you're just starting out, you're going to go into the minor leagues, right? The little league baseball.
Okay.
And then after you've got some experience, and then you're ready for the minor leagues, and then you're ready for the majors. To start pitching Forbes or Entrepreneur right off the bat, when you have unless you have a really big story, it's tough. Like they want to see that you have some experience in PR. You have some legs in the media. So that's why it's start with the low hanging fruit. If you went to college or university, they all have newsletters or magazines, right? Like pitch them. Say how your time going to that school gave you the foundation to become the successful entrepreneur that you are now. It's a great story, right? Yeah. And or the local paper, showcase something that you're doing to help the local community. Like maybe through your business, you're being able to donate time or money or whatever to some local charity.
Okay.
If you're working with charities, they always have some sort of a newsletter as well. Like they want to showcase their volunteers as well as their donors. All of that starts to kind of spin because the media is always keeping their eyes open and ears open for a story because they're always on deadline. Like imagine if you had to write like 1,000-word blog every single day and research it.
You never get to rest and go, oh, I'm done. It's like, I'm done for today and I need something for tomorrow. They're always looking for that next thing. Yes.
So that is, that's the thing you've got to be thinking in here is that you've got to be approaching the media from a place of I'm here to help as opposed to, oh, please give me a story. Right? They're busy. The easier you can make their job, the more likely they are to use you. And again, they're always on the outlook for something, if the media if one media outlet has written a story or featured a story about something, it means it's newsworthy. It means the other media outlets are going to take notice of that and go, oh, well, maybe we should do a story on that. And that's how it snowballs.
Okay. Well, this is some really fantastic tips. And from you, we've talked and I've interviewed you before. We've gone into whole other realms and depths of this. It's a very big topic. And I love how you're breaking it down into this 5-day challenge to make it easy to do, not so scary, and actually implement and get it going. So everybody who's listening, I've got the link in the chat. It's here, but you can just click it in the chat. There we go. And from there, by Friday, you could be pitching. Like you're going to be sending out. So just follow Larissa step by step. And she has lots of other amazing offers, but definitely start with this 5-day challenge. And let's see how far you can go. See where you can be seen, get the word out, get your message out, whatever it is that you're passionate about doing, teaching, sharing. This would be a great way for you to gain more exposure.
Definitely.
Yeah. Any last tips or words or anything we need to know?
I mean, this is my favorite way to sign off. It's just, the media has to promote somebody. So why not it be you? So yeah, go out there, get your PR on, and don't be afraid, because the media needs to they need to put somebody out in a story, and if it's not you, it'll be somebody else.
Right.
So what's holding you back? There's nothing to be afraid of.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Larissa. Great seeing you again. And there we go. Got that link back up there. That's it, everybody. Join the challenge. Don't worry if you're a day late. You can always get caught up. And we'll see y'all real soon.
Thanks so much, Krista.
Bye-bye.
Bye.